Stone Paxton Music and Life. Welcome to my channel. For all those that are not subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit like, and also make sure you hit that bell to get the notifications for all my latest videos. Stone Paxton Music and Life podcast, The Couch. You know, the last couple videos, I should have put this on my podcast side of my YouTube channel. Because this is more so when I have conversations like this, I consider this like part of my podcast, even though I'm not sitting on the couch, which is, you know, Stone Paxton Music and Life, the couch, the podcast, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to, you know, get on here and talk about a conversation that I have on a regular basis from artists who either me speaking at different music conferences or conversations over the phone or via email. I said I wasn't going to do that, what I just did. Anyway, I just did it. But but listen, you guys, the subject of this conversation is, can you make it in the music industry? Can you chart and be successful in the music industry, in the modern day music industry, in this industry in these days? Can you also make it in the music industry as a person of an older age and someone that does a different style and caliber of music that possibly fits maybe the adult contemporary? These are the things that I want to talk about. Making sure my audio is looking good over there. But listen, I get a lot of messages from artists from all over the world who ask me, is there still possibilities of independent artists being successful? Well, I mean, I don't even think that should be a question, because every day we look up, we see a new artist charting. So let me rephrase that in a way that I think that they're really trying to ask me. I think they're asking me this: is it possible for a true independent artist to chart on Billboard? Is it possible for a true independent artist to chart on iTunes Top 100? I think these are the questions that these artists are asking me, and you have to kind of be able to interpret what a person is saying in the music industry, because some artists don't really know what they want to say. It's kind of like the Bible. You know, when people read the Bible, it says in the Bible, the word is to be meditated on, right? But every person interprets, their interpretation of the Bible is always different. So similarities to that in the music industry. An artist without experience, his interpretation of something might not be what the true meaning of it is. Therefore, we probably need to educate artists on the proper interpretation of the meaning and the concept of what's trying to be delivered, right? Me and my glasses, I'm always having some problem with it. So I think when they message me and they're asking me these questions, they're asking me these questions because I am still an independent artist. Even though I've been signed to major labels through the years, I've been signed to major label publishing deals through the years, as a producer, as a writer, as an artist. But as an independent artist, I'm very proud of the accomplishments that I have accomplished as an independent artist. So when I get on here and speak, I more so truly lobby for the essence of an independent artist and the things that you can accomplish as an indie artist versus being a major artist. And why do I advocate for that? I advocate for that because there are a lot of artists that think that maybe they do not have what it takes to be successful. Even if they have great music, they're still second guessing themselves. And most artists, you know, they might work on a song for a year and sometimes it might never come out. I know artists that work on singles for a year and it never comes out. You know what I mean? So it's because of the second guessing. It's because we're always shooting for perfection when we're in a world of imperfection. So I don't think that we should worry about being perfect with music, because music was not made to be perfect. I think the first step in understanding if you can be successful in anything is understanding that there's obstacles, and part of the obstacles are going to be you also second guessing if you're making the right moves, if you are going the right direction, and if you can even make it. So I tell artists to make sure you gather yourself with as much knowledge as possible. That is your weapon of safety, because the knowledge is the weapon that you need to be able to take on that war of success. You want to win that war of success. So you need the knowledge. Those are your weapons, the knowledge and the wisdom and the know-how, and talking to people with experience that have done it. Now, there is a difference with an artist being on a major label and an artist being independent. Now, the only difference with those is one artist has an access to possibly unlimited money. Another person has to figure out how they're going to get the money to market their record, or hope that they can get somebody to believe in that project so that they can do what they want to do in the music industry and have the proper finances to be able to market their record and promote and tour and support that record the way they want. But at the end of the day, making it in the music industry is a combination of, I always say it's where preparation meets opportunity. Okay, so if you're prepared, if you're always prepared, if you're always ready, then you don't have to get ready, so that when an opportunity kind of, presents itself, you're ready to go. Now, to get back to what I was saying when I said there's a difference between major artists and an independent artist, and let me give you an example. I deal with a lot of artists who have had major hits, right? And they've charted on Billboard. They've charted on iTunes. They're constantly charting on iTunes. Even their old records are constantly going back into the iTunes top 100. But their whole career was created by a major label creating their career. And what do I mean by that? From the time that they signed their record deal, the major label took care of them. They had a budget, they had a producer's budget, they had marketing and promotions, they had tour support. So all they know is to be an artist. All they know about is chilling, relaxing, and just being an artist, being 100% artist. So they have never been in the trenches. And I run into this, and I'm not going to mention any celebrity names, but most of my friends that are artists that have had triple platinum albums, some of them you hear on the radio every day, we have this discussion. And the difference between myself and them is I was signed to major labels, but I was also fortunate to have my record label since 1995, 94. I started my record label in 94. Even though I was still signed to Warner Brothers under a publishing deal, I still had my record label. So I was also learning how to run my record label. Now, this is before digital distribution. This is before everything that we see now. This is brick and mortar time. This is when if you didn't have a real distribution deal, your records were not going to be heard anywhere unless it was locally, right? So this was a different time period. So I appreciate what I had to go through. Even though I was signed to a major as a writer producer, I was fortunate to be able to learn the business part. Now, I've been learning this since the 80s, to be honest, like probably since I was 16 from this independent label that I was dealing with. I was kind of learning the ropes, checking out, the guy that was running the label. So he didn't really teach me much. And then more of the stuff that I learned from when I was signed to Grand Jury Warner Brothers to my producer and production deal. And I was learning that as I was going. I'll be straight transparent to you. I didn't have anybody there saying, hey, man, this is a one stop. This is how you put together a one sheet. This is how you deal with a wholesaler. This is how you deal with a retailer. Nobody taught me that. I literally had to learn that on my own, as well as me putting together all the tours for all the artists under my record label at that time. I would literally put together shows, and I had 5 or 6 artists, and any of them coming across this YouTube channel, they'll comment on the bottom. They'll tell you everything I'm saying is 100% real. I would have tour buses, and we'd be going on big tour buses or charter buses or RV, and I would be taking them on the road. I used to book their shows and take them all on the road and let them all open up for each other. Now, I'm sharing these things with you to show you where preparation meets, when opportunity and preparation meets. This is how I ended up having my own distribution deal for my record company because I was prepared. So when that opportunity presented itself, I was ready to go, you guys. I was ready to go. There was no question, is he ready? There was no question, is maybe he ready? I'm looking this way too. I'm checking my audio, making sure that my audio is going down. So excuse me if I'm doing that. But anyway, there was no question of, is this guy ready to go? Is this guy prepared and ready to take this opportunity? When I got my first distribution, and granted, and you also have to remember too, at the same time, minus me having my deal with Grand Jury Warner Brothers, because I was trying to keep things from the company I was signed to, because I didn't want them to, it to feel like a conflict of interest. So I never shared with them about my record company. I never shared with them about the distribution deal I ended up having. I ended up having 2 deals. The first deal I ended up signing was with the Orchard. Now, this is when the Orchard was, like nothing. They were like very small before Sony came in and bought the Orchard out. Not bought them out, but before Sony came and bought into the Orchard. This was probably 97. It was 97, before digital distribution, because the Orchard was on the front end of the digital distribution revolution. They were part of starting it with Apple. So I was at the beginning of that whole situation, right? So I had that, but then at the same time, I got approached by another company because we were moving so many records out of Vegas. The records I was putting out on my artists, I was producing the records, and I was doing consignment initially. Back then, even though I was, like I said, I had my deal with Grand Jury Warner Brothers, I was still putting artists in my studio, and we'd be cutting every day. We were in the studio every day, 12, 16 hours a day, no joke, every day. I had my artists were in the studio. I was constantly producing, because I was also producing all the records back in the 90s. I was producing all of the records here in Vegas, all of the records for every artist under my label. So not only was I the producer, I was the producer, I was a writer, I was arranger on a lot of the stuff, unless it was a lot of the rap stuff, and I would write the hook. But I was writing, arranging, producing, mixing, mastering, setting up the tours, setting up the promotional tours, setting up the radio interviews, setting up the retail autograph sessions at Sam Goody's and Warehouse back then. I was doing all that myself. Getting the RV. I was the RV tour bus driver, unless the bus was too big for me to be able to drive. If I didn't have the proper license, then we had an actual driver. But other than that, I was the driver, the booking agent, the tour manager, the producer, writer, arranger, and the CEO of the record label. And I did all this stuff with a vengeance, like I still do to this day. Now, I don't have all the artists that I used to have under my label. Right now, I still put out compilations, but I mostly focus on myself, because having artists is like babysitting kids. I've been through that stage of my life. I don't really care for it like I did before, although I still get artists come to me to help market and promote their records. I don't take on artists under my labels anymore. So when an artist hit me up, the most I do is probably throw them on a compilation that I have coming out. But I just don't jump into putting artists under. It's all about me and promoting myself now. And it's all about me and constantly dropping my records and focusing on Stone Paxton, because I gave a lot of my years to helping a lot of artists. And like I said, I still help artists. I just don't exclusively sign them under my company or manage them anymore. I don't do that. And if I manage an artist, I would have to actually charge them, because it's just a lot of stuff I can do for an artist that average person couldn't do unless they were in that position. But can you make it and have Billboard charting records in this age and time of the music industry as an independent artist? Can you chart like a major? Can you have that same success, Billboard, iTunes, tours and all that stuff? Can you actually do that? You can. Listen, you don't have to have, and you got to understand how many radio stations across the country. There are tons of radio stations across the country, right? There's tons of radio stations. I'm going to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, because I want you to understand that success is what you make it. I want you to understand that. Hold on. I just want to give you an idea so that you don't lose faith in understanding that you have what it takes to make it. Hold on. Most people give up right before things are about to happen. Okay. Just want to give you an idea. Now, a lot of times, as I'm sitting and talking to you, there's stations playing my record somewhere in the world. Typically, on an average day, there's probably anywhere from 20 to 30 radio stations playing my records. Now, I'm not even talking about any new stuff. I'm talking about all my old records. They're just playing it. When I look it up, I can see what stations are playing my older records, right? So you got to think. There's over, let me see. There's over 2,000 digital radio stations worldwide, 2,000 plus, because there's a lot more, right? But we're going off the root number, okay? So there's 2,000 radio stations digital for independent artists. So I just want you to understand this. You don't have to be on your local station being played 24/7 to feel like you're successful. You don't have to be on a major station to feel like you can make a living in the music industry. Trust me, when I'm telling you this. You can be on nothing but digital, because you got to remember, a lot of the mainstream brick and mortar stations have been closing down. A lot of the physical radio stations are going digital anyway. That is the direction, just like we went digital from analog, right? A lot of the mainstream physical stations are going digital. And if they haven't went digital, they all have a digital footprint. What do I mean by that? They all have a digital version of their station. So you don't have to be a major artist to be successful in this business. All you have to have is determination and consistency. And consistency is the key. You don't even have to have a big budget. You can have a limited budget to market and promote, and just stay consistent with putting your records out and quality work. Because yes, it's going back to quality work, you guys. Unfortunately, there's no shortcut to this, independent artists, my younger artists, and my OGs that are watching this. There is no shortcut to this. There's no cheat code in the music industry. I've been trying to tell people this for the longest. I guess the cheat codes would be when people do production that's so-so. That would be considered like a cheat code. You know, if you compare like a Babyface to somebody that comes out with a beat that's a ABC production, and then, the Babyface records charts, and then these records chart from a guy who's never produced a record, and all of a sudden a guy from his bedroom gets a huge hit off of a production that wasn't on a level of a Babyface. So I look at that like that's kind of like a cheat code, because that cat went outside the box and he did this track that was more beat driven versus chord structure or progressions or diminish and augmentish. He just had one simple melody playing with a cool 808 and some triple hi-hats, and it blew up as big as a Babyface record or whatever, right? So I look at those instances, when those things happen, I kind of look at those as a sort of a cheat code, but there's really not a cheat code. And I'll tell you why. I've met guys with tons of money who come to me, who have come to other people in the music industry who try to buy their way in the music industry, and it never works. Who try to buy their way in the music industry, and it never works. There's only one way to a situation, and that is, it's kind of like buying subscribers, right? A good example, it's kind of like buying followers for artists that buy the followers on Spotify, right? So then check this out. Then you have a show and you show up and nobody's there, and the promoters book you and they paid you. You say, I want 5,000 a show. They give you the 5,000, right? You show up and nobody is there. And the promoter's looking like, well, wait a minute, man, on your Spotify, you got 200,000 followers and these many streams. He said, but I booked you because of your followers. Where are all those people? So you can't cheat your way into business, but you can work hard and earn your way in the business. You can chart on Billboard. You can achieve all those things. You can chart on iTunes. All those things you want to achieve, you can. So when I tell artists, I'm not telling you from just talking. I'm telling you from experience, okay? Here's a Billboard plaque, right? As an independent artist, these are the things that you can do. You don't need to be on a major label to achieve this. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have to be signed to a major label to achieve this. Please understand that. You don't have to be signed to a major label to achieve this. I say this to inspire, okay? I say this to inspire. You don't have to be a major artist to achieve iTunes Top 100. Okay? I say this to inspire. Okay? That's another one of mine. Out of 47, I have 47 iTunes Top 100 charting records in probably 4 or 5 different countries. Okay? The only way you can achieve this is, number one, let's start with consistency. Consistency. I can't buy a person's consistency, and you cannot buy your own consistency. You either have to be consistent or want to be or not. Okay? Or want to be or not. There is no way around the consistency thing. Like, I can't even pay you to be consistent. It's either you're consistent or you're not. Okay? I just want you to know that you don't have to be signed to Rockefeller Records to have the equivalent of success. This is all independent. That Billboard, independent. That iTunes, independent. All the rest of the plaques on my wall in the studio, independent. All the stuff I accomplished working for Grand Jury Warner Brothers with all the charting records, being a part of that production team, I don't ever talk about that. You know what I do talk about? I talk about what I accomplished independently. I did all this stuff independently, minus of a major. The distribution being major, but the promotions and marketing and effort and consistency, all from here. Okay? So just know this. You don't have to be signed to a major to chart on Billboard. You don't have to be signed to a major to make it on iTunes Top 100. And these days, if you have a record that's out and you have a following and a fan base and they're supporting you, you can make it in Billboard in 2 weeks. You can make it on about a week and a half. You can break into the Billboard charts if you have the support of your fan base that are truly following you. And you're going to know that when you drop a record. If your fan base is really what it says, if people say they follow you, they're going to go and buy your record. If people say they support you when you drop a single, let me show you something. I have a producer, and I think I've talked about her on a few other videos, but I'm only saying this to show you guys something, because when it happened, it blew my mind. She's had over 23 charting, iTunes Top 100 charting instrumental. Now, this is what blew my mind, because I didn't even realize at that time when it happened that instrumental albums could actually chart. But when hers started charting, it kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, whoa. I mean, we do some marketing stuff. I mean, she markets herself. When there's certain marketing, I convinced her on how to market herself, and you invest in yourself and market. But when those instrumental albums charted, I went, this is interesting. This is really interesting. She's charted as a producer, producing instrumentals, releasing instrumental albums, and they charted. You see what I'm saying? So with the determination, preparation meets the determination and opportunity creates success, right? I just showed you from my own experience. That's my name on both of those plaques, right? And the many other plaques that I just couldn't sit here and hold all of them. But I wanted you to understand that, yes, can you chart like a major artist? Can you chart as an independent like your major? Can you chart as an independent on iTunes and Billboard? Can you be successful as an independent? Yes. Can you tour as an independent? Absolutely. But it's going back to the quality of the music. We can't fool people anymore. People, the consumers are getting smarter. And see, we're going to be older than we are younger. So consumers are growing. They're getting older as time goes. They're getting older and older, and you can't fool them anymore. They're going, wait a minute. I used to like this artist, but now that I'm analyzing the lyrics and the music is so-so. See, so the quality of the music is back. You can't fool people. As long as you're putting out quality music, quality lyrical contents, quality stories and arrangements, and quality music videos, the storylines and videos to match. Can't nobody stop your success. There's over 2,000 plus radio stations that you have access to as an independent artist. Stop trying to worry about being played on your main station in your town. You don't need it. If you're talking about just collecting publishing dollars from BMI or ASCAP, you can have 20 to 30 radio stations playing you, and your publishing is looking good independently, strictly through digital stations, because now all those digital stations report to Billboard. They all pay Billboard. They're all paying Billboard. You understand what I'm saying? They're all set up to pay for publishing to Billboard for playing your music. So everything I say to you, I've been in the trenches. I've set up tours. I've taken artists on the road. I produced albums. I ran a record label. I still run a record label. I'm still part of a distribution company. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what I do. Music industry stuff. I've done it all my life. I'm in my 50s, 54, and I've done this all my life. This is all I know. And I am proof that the things that I'm talking about work, because I just showed you. I am proof of that. I'm not just on here capping, as the young generation says. I'm showing you that these things are facts, and what I do works. Do not let anyone tell you that you cannot be successful in this business at a certain age. Do not let anyone tell you that you can't be successful unless you're signed to a major label. The only thing that will stop you from your success is you. The determination, the hard work, consistency, and moving forward and investing in yourself. The sky is the limit. And right now is the best time to be an independent artist. Right now is the best time to be a producer. It's the best time. There's no limits. If you are consistent and you have the spirit of winning, this is the best time that you can be in this business. But the question is how hard are you going to work for you? And that's usually the problem, because a lot of people in this business like talking. A lot of artists like hearing themselves because for some reason, it sounds good when we hear ourselves saying all the cool things and what we're going to do and how I'm about to go do this and we're about to shoot this video and we're working on this record and we're on TikTok and, it's looking good and we just hyping it up for the girls. Where's the real passion of the music? Because if you're really here to make music, it's about the music minus anything else. It's not about nothing else. It's about your passion and your love for the music. All the other stuff comes with the music industry. You're going to get the girls. You're going to get all the headaches. Those are all headaches, by the way. Right? And I say that because those are distractions. Because real musicians, real writers, and people that really are really passionate about what they do, they don't allow those distractions to bother them because they know that hinders the success. So you want to be successful? Focus, determination. And when it meets that opportunity, that success happens. You don't have to have this amount of success. When you have a person driving a Ferrari and you're driving a Chevy and you both have a half tank of gas, you're going to make it to that destination the same way, either with gas in your tank or with gas not in your tank. You're going to run out. You're going to be on E. Matter of fact, you'll be on W, depending on how many miles you get per mileage to tank gallon, per mileage as far as gallon, right? So if you get so many miles per gallon and you can't reach that destination, to both of you guys, you're going to end up in the same position on E, and then you'll be on W, which means walk, right? Use that analogy. Think about that. A major artist versus independent. The only difference is they just have people that believe in them, that have a whole lot of money, which is a record company who charges them at a high interest rate, by the way, and says, I believe in you. I'm going to send you on the road, but I'm going to own everything you have. But you don't find that out until the end because you're not paying attention to the contract. So right now, it is a wonderful time to be an independent artist. You're in control. You control everything. Is it complicated? Is it hard? Absolutely. Nothing that's worth having comes easy. But guess what? They cannot stop you from being successful. They cannot stop you from having a charting record on Billboard, on iTunes Top 100, and touring. Trust me. I'm living proof of all those things. So I'm telling you, get up now, make it happen. You can have a charting record on Billboard, iTunes, and you can be successful, but you got to put in the work. Listen, Stone Paxton Music and Life, you guys, make sure that you guys click that link for music distribution. Go to Brand Artist Coalition. Distribute your music worldwide, you guys. Also, click that other link that says Session Wire. I'll catch you on the next Stone Paxton Music and Life podcast. Whenever I talk like this, I'm probably going to throw it on my podcast side so you guys can see some of the other stuff I've talked about. I appreciate all you that have tuned in, all the artists that come to me. Listen, if you need any advice about the music industry, I've been in this business for 40 years. I've been in this business as a record company owner, distribution, marketing, promotions, breaking artists, records, helping artists set up their tours, all that stuff. If you need any help, feel free to email me with whatever you need. I'm always here for you. All right. Peace and love, you guys. And I'm out. Stone Paxton Music and Life.